I just want to come on here and talk about just you know I was made aware on a couple of my recent videos that I overshared something very inappropriate, something very private that I probably should not have shared with the public. And it had to do with specifically a habit that I was invested in with the OCD that I had when I was back in 2023. It was an unpleasant detail that I brought up several times in videos, and I just look back at it going, that's not necessary to bring up. That's not necessary, and it's kind of uncalled for to bring that up. And I regret that. I regret bringing it up. I regret making it just public. I did have my reasons for it because I wanted to be real and I wanted to paint an accurate picture, but now I realize that I did not set the proper boundary and the proper container around what I could share. And so I brought it up in the Mercury retrograde in Pisces video. If you go see that video, then you're going to find out I brought it up in there very, very clearly and very bluntly. And I was watching that going, and a family member was watching it with me and rejecting it. I was watching it and rejecting it going, whoa, that should not be in there. And so I regret saying that. I regret mentioning that. And then I regret mentioning it in my my video that I made today and other videos. And I was more specific about it this time in the video on the Taurus North Node, because I do mention, I did bring it up again in the Taurus North Node video. And I just found like I couldn't just get through the rest of the video, or a lot of the video, because it just, it's kind of like a flaw that you just sit with and it just sticks with you. And I hope that you do not get that impression from that video, the impression that I got. If you go see that Northern and Taurus video, and I hope that it doesn't ruin the rest of the video to hear that and then, not being able to enjoy the rest of the video. I don't regret most of the things that I put in my Real Me podcast. I do not regret the video on the draining friendships, because I got into the astrology. It was very interesting. I wanted to paint an accurate picture of that. I feel fine with that. It's just when it comes to just very, very inappropriate things like sexual things that are just inappropriate, very, very graphic details that I mentioned, I should not have mentioned or brought up in any of my videos, and I do have to make amends for that, because that is, it's one thing for me to share that I have, OCD, and all that, and all that kind of stuff, which I make open, and it's one thing to share that I have a voice in my head that I don't want to keep a secret anymore, but it's another thing to share really, really private details that I should have kept just private. And actually looking back and watching myself saying those things, I feel very uncomfortable with that. And I feel very, I just don't think that I look very good when saying that. And I don't want to put that out into the whole world of saying these kind of things in my videos and making myself look bad. I mean, I don't want to limit myself. I mean, I will not limit myself with my speech, but if I just happen to just notice, like, I shouldn't have mentioned this, then that's where, I will go in and, do something about that. I mean, maybe I will go in and edit that out, in the videos that I do recall saying that in, so that I don't have to go back to those videos and view them and notice that thing that I said in there that was inappropriate. This is where I feel like I've just kind of crossed a little bit of a line with social media, is just the whole thing. And I think I am really, really leaning into the energy of just taking a little bit of a break from posting all the time. And I hope that, this week I can get back to my other interests. And I plan to do that. I have every intention to do that. Letting it take over very, very recently. And also just oversharing. Like, there are parameters to what you can share. And I realized that I was completely self-aware of that, but I think when I was doing it, I wasn't the most self-aware that, this is a detail that I probably should keep private. And nobody commented this, and nobody told me that I should have kept this private. I noticed this was within myself, and I'm doing it as my own sovereignty. And believe me, I would not, tolerate it, because it would be like the drain from others would be so huge and so tremendous, I wouldn't be able to handle it. But, I feel enough of a drain just sitting here and doing this podcast and just explaining to you that I was wrong for bringing up this detail in my life. But I understand my reasons for doing it. I wanted to be transparent. I wanted to be real for it. But I think just listening to myself, I have to honestly say I do regret it. And I do look back and go, I shouldn't have mentioned that. And so I do feel very much that it is the right thing to do to get rid of the parts where I mention that. In the videos that I do mention it, that I remember. I may not get rid of all the videos, but in just a couple of videos, I might do that about that. That's not the point of this conversation. The point is that when you're sharing things on social media, then just be mindful of what you're sharing. And I'm always mindful. I'm always self-aware, but I just don't think I had the proper awareness when sharing this detail of my life. And I lacked the boundary that I probably could have had. Probably just kept it said, I dealt with stuff in my life that I don't want to share with you because it's inappropriate. Like, I could have covered it up instead of just bluntly just put it out there. And I don't feel that that was right, as I've stated before. And it's just knowing healthy boundaries, knowing what to say and what not to say. And I don't want to be the creator on YouTube who just spills out these really inappropriate details and makes himself look so bad on YouTube in public for sharing these details in a way that is inappropriate. And I don't want to be seen as, 21 years old and not the most mature person to talk about things because, you don't know your boundaries with what to talk about. So I will, own up for my words and my actions, and I will say that I will be changing a couple of things, and I will not be bringing up these really, really inappropriate details of my life. In future. And I mean, even on my intellectual attraction podcast, I brought up kind of an inappropriate thing with the sexual stuff that I brought up to compare with the intellectual. And I did feel like when I brought that up, that kind of crossed a boundary. So I don't want to let my progressed moon in Leo get the better of me. I don't want to let my new creative energy with all my uninhibited sharing of myself to get the better of me, and then I just lose all boundaries and I just share all this stuff that's not right to share. And I mentioned this in other videos, but I can't forget about, I just have to keep bringing this up, that another way that I did not show a boundary is when I did a story on Instagram. I was very, very, very dramatic on there, ranted on, you can't take your time and you can't process your thoughts like you can a podcast or a video because you're rushed with how much little time, and then you make so many stories and you can't even watch it because there's just so much. And I just looked at that and go, nope, no, full stop. I can't do this anymore. This is not healthy. Getting on here and just venting like this is just not healthy and not normal. And I do not feel like normal people on social media, on YouTube, especially the channels that I follow, bring up these very unpleasant details about their lives that they don't want to share. And so I feel guilty for that, and I see that, and I recognize that, and I want to reframe that. So, I don't want to, there was one video where I showed up kind of inappropriately. In the video where I wore my pajamas and didn't change into my regular clothes. There's videos where I didn't comb my hair and then just started talking on social media. Like, I realize, these little things that I could have done that could have made me a little bit more presentable with my speech and my words. And this is just a lesson to be very, very discerning about what you put out there, and be very, very careful and mindful of what you put out, so that it's not just not mindful and sharing all these details that are, and even when I'm, yawning sometimes, I, do that, like, nope, who yawns in a YouTube video? Like, I don't want to make YouTube videos where I'm just separate from everybody else, and not in a good way. Like, I'm the odd one out, and then I don't see other YouTubers, content creators be acting like this and sharing this type of information in this type of way that nobody else does. And I don't want to be the only one who, you look to and then you unsubscribe from, or you do whatever, or you reject what I say because it's a detail that I shouldn't have shared, a detail that is inappropriate. I'm not saying this because of anybody else, mentioning it and bringing it up. This is something that I've come to realize that I'm bringing up, that I'm realizing that I want to reframe. I do want to be unique in how I talk about things and how I share my life and my unique story of my life in my Real Me podcast. And I share astrology and do my 12 sign readings and my music that I produce, or I had the talent of just creating all these songs that I want to continue to share. I've had guilt from doing that for some time because of the way that I was doing it, but I want to continue to be creative like that. Like, I basically have barely any, limitations to myself, but I am putting a healthy limitation on sharing this very, very unpleasant detail of my life that I should have kept private. And this is kind of a message about that. So I believe that's all that I wanted to say on this topic, on this podcast. I just wanted to make this clear real quick on this very, very short podcast. Because, like, I'm not, overly concerned with what others think of me to the point where it's detrimental to my content and what I create. But I am concerned enough to where it's unhealthy, and I do not want to see a comment from somebody going, wow, you shouldn't have shared that, and, whatever. I mean, at best, well, I do the same thing, and, like, well, then I feel comforted because I'm not alone in what specifically I did, but, that's a 1 in a million chance. It's like winning a golden ticket in a bucket of, whatever. Bucket of whatever. But I don't have any Leo in my chart, so that's a good thing, in my opinion. But I don't want others to think bad of me in what I share, and feel that I am not, that my actions and words are not right. And so, yeah, I was blunt in a way that was inappropriate, especially in the Mercury and Pisces video. I watched that and I'm thinking other astrologers do not bring up these inappropriate details of their lives, etc. Like, who does this is what I was thinking, and I don't want to be the one to do it. I don't want to be the one to do it. So that's all that I have to say on this. Anyway, bye for now.